Tunnicliffe, Joan Hodson, former Silver Fern, former international umpire, 1987 Netball World Champ, 1991 Touch World Champ, New Zealand women's team. Inducted into New Zealand Sports Hall of Fame for that 87 win, and in 2011 you were inducted into the Samoan Sports Hall of Fame. You've done so much. Great to be here at your high school, Sacred Heart Girls College in New Plymouth. How many years have you been teaching for now?
Since 86, so you do the math.
It's a good run.
It's a long time.
So you were born in Samoa, but you came over to New Zealand with your family when you were about 2?
Yep. I came with my mum and 2 of my sisters. Yeah.
Big family in the end?
Yeah, 8 kids. So Dad was back in Samoa with the rest of the family, which is 2 boys and 2 girls. And we were here waiting for them and organising money to send back, back home, to get them back over.
So you grew up in South Auckland. What was that like?
Rewa hard. Manurewa, I didn't know anything different except for we had arrived in New Zealand, and so like most Polynesian families were in Herne Bay, Ponsonby, Greylin, lived there for a while, and then when we could afford our own house we moved out to Manurewa it was very rural back then too.
Did you grow up playing a lot of different sports when you were young?
Yeah, pretty much. My dad was a really good sportsman. He was a boxer, played rugby and also played cricket, especially when he came here on a Samoan scholarship to New Zealand. Found that he was pretty good at sport. And my mum rode horses back in Raro, where she was from, in the Cook Islands. My main sport really was athletics. I did athletics from quite a young age, and when I got too big for athletics I moved into tennis, but netball was something that I'd picked up from since I was in Standard 1.
When did you start getting serious about netball?
Oh, not till much later, when things started to get a bit serious, when I got into a rep team, and just probably at secondary school started to get a bit serious in terms of, concentrating more on that in the winter.
So you were part of the Auckland team for at least a decade, first joined Auckland franchise in 1982. That's where you spent your whole domestic career. Who were some of the influential players and coaches you had during that time?
Yvonne Willering, and she turned out to be my also Auckland coach later on, and also for the young internationals. She's been a huge influence on myself. She's actually my son's godmother. She's that important.
Wow.
So yeah, old Willering, and Marlene Flavel, she was a very big part of my netball career, starting off at Auckland Netball Association. And Rose Ryan was big at Auckland Catholic, where I was at school, and she was one of the main coaches there.
So I've got a couple of old school magazines here. I can't believe I've held on to it this long, but I was flicking through it the other day. There's an article here on the young internationals team that was selected to tour Canada in 1986. You were named in the team. There's an article about that. And I just noticed 2 of your teammates ended up coaching me in netball. So
okay.
Jill Smith.
Yes.
Yeah. Jill Smith was my Form 2 netball teacher. Tough taskmaster. Probably my toughest coach ever, and I was in Form 2.
She was a tough player.
Yeah. Gritty. And Catherine Wilkinson.
Oh, Wilkes, really?
Yeah, she coached me in Form 7.
Oh, she was my roomie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were over in Europe, in England.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's typical.
Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there you go.
Oh, Lordy.
And Yvonne Willering coached that team, right?
Yeah, the young internationals, and it first started in 85, so that was the second year of the young internationals.
Right.
The first year was the tour to the Pacific Islands.
Yeah. Small world. But I guess you would find that a lot when it comes to netball, it's a small world.
Yeah, and it's such a strong community in terms of, if there's something that needs doing, netball is, and in particular that community were, first to put up their hands, and it's...
I've got a second magazine here, 1987 May issue. It was the netball trials held in Auckland for the team to be picked to go to Glasgow. Back then, played all your netball outside, but check out the water dripping off Waitemonu.
Yeah, that was in Auckland.
Yeah.
Those,
Water dripping. Because you were just playing any weather back then, right?
Oh, mate, and also those, courts in particular, sometimes it'd be, ankle deep, like you were running through water.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, you all scream and carry on. There's Raymond Henry in the background there. Oh my gosh, this is cool.
Old school. And there's Catherine Wilkinson.
Yeah, old Wilkes. Oh my gosh, she was talented. Played a lot like Mark Forsyth.
Yeah.
They came from the same... Oh, look at Hef. Oh, wow, these are cool. And T. Yeah, these were all stalwarts, man. Forsyth. Yeah. Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to have a read of those again.
We'll
That's
have a
awesome.
proper look after. You first made the Silver Ferns team in 1986, so you became a part of a very small group of women. You followed in the footsteps of Magi Matinga, Waitemonu, Rita Whatiolofa, elite group of Pacific women to make the Silver Ferns. How much of a source of pride was that for you and your family?
Oh my gosh, huge. It was so huge, especially when you were born in the islands and then you come here to your new country, your new adopted country, and to be able to do that, amongst such amazing quality of players. I mean, just, going on some of those names in particular. Yeah, it was massive. My mother was so proud. She was at probably every single game, and our house was like a, what do they always call it? I can't remember.
Oh, like a shrine.
Yes, that's what they used to call it, my shrine. And so, yeah, that's...
okay, so all your achievements up on the wall.
Every single freaking club photo my mother had framed and put it up. And, I mean, if anyone wants to know why they were never, ever asked to come back to my place, that was the reason. It was so embarrassing. And, lots of people from our community, and especially our parish, our Catholic parish, would come back, and that's what they would be subjected to. And my brothers and sisters, I felt really sorry for them because it was like I was an only child.
One corner.
Yeah. Not even that though, but yeah, it was. She was so very proud and came to a lot of my games, which was so supportive and encouraging. Yeah.
So you became a champion in 1987 with that famous team in Glasgow under the coaching of the godmother of New Zealand netball, Dame Lois Muir. How great was it being part of that team?
It was amazing. I'd never ever met Lois, and the first trial that I had was in '86, and I was called into the New Zealand team as a late replacement, a non-travelling reserve. And when I went to meet her, because I'd never spoken to her, just seen her, when I was introduced to her, she just looked at me and said, "Oh, you're not very tall, are you?" And I think that was one of the first words that she'd even spoken to me about. And I'd asked her at the end of that particular, it was quite successful for New Zealand, that tour, what could I do to get better? And she said, "Well, you can't grow, can you?" And I just thought, oh, okay.
So Lois was pretty blunt then?
Yeah, just real, and that's what I think anyone that you talk to with Lois is. She's just, up front and very specific to anything that you ask her about. And I learnt more about her through the other players, and then over the years, she's pretty amazing and dynamic.
Fast forward the 1991 Netball World Cup in Sydney, first time the World Cup moved to the finals format. In my mind, that was the start of the high-octane edge of the seat stuff between New Zealand and Australia.
Material. 10 seconds. Timekeeper's up. Yes. Wilson. That's it. Australia. It's Australia's World Championship.
On that occasion, unfortunately, Australia pipped you guys by 1 goal. We've talked about that game before. The atmosphere, the noise was just insane. But I've looked at some replays of that game as well, and it was physical back then. You guys took your fair share of knocks back then as well.
Oh my gosh, more than that. I couldn't believe, I just couldn't believe how Australia played, and I'd played them, quite a few times before that, and they were pretty gnarly, but, just standing on the court, you couldn't. You couldn't just stand there. And Simone McInnes was my partner at the time for the whole game, and she was actually given, player of the match. What does that say? But, I piggybacked her. My butt bone knew her pubic bone because she just rode me the whole time. It was just, you just couldn't get away from them.
Yeah. I've got a bit of evidence of that. Joyce Brown.
Yeah.
The toss-up. Oh, did you see Simone was behind you?
Yeah. Yes. Did you see her push down on me with her elbow?
Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
But you look at the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there.
It was. I couldn't watch that for years, man.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's grow up, John. But yeah, it was heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise how much until I walked into the changing rooms at the end. But my sister had lent us, the team, a ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
And it got stolen out of one of the rooms. And so we had to replace it. The team replaced it for her.
Right.
They bought her a better one. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I had to return it to her straight after the game because they had come to that. And so I did. I went looking for her and returned it. And then when I went back to the changing rooms, it was just death. It was so quiet and sobs and people in corners. And
Yeah.
oh, it was terrible.
So there's nothing you can really say in that situation, is there?
Yeah. I did though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I dropped the bomb, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just yelled it out, and that kind of released a bit of tension.
Oh, like anger?
Oh, yeah, I just went, and I went, yeah. And then, we were able to just look at each other and hug each other. And oh my gosh, the worst part was actually going back to our, not hotel, because we were staying in our hostel, and, on the bus, people were singing party songs. We were all crying. It was just, unbelievable. But, it's, the loss is just about, all that hard time and hard work that you'd put in over those years.
So that same year, 1991, you also were in another World Cup final, the Touch World Championships in Auckland. You were part of the New Zealand women's gold medal winning team. How did you juggle playing touch for New Zealand and netball for New Zealand?
I was really lucky because I was in the touch team, and it was the senior women's. It was like over 27s. And, Lois was really good like that. She would say to me, when are your fixtures for touch? And especially because they crossed over at the end of netball season and the beginning of touch season. So she was always really mindful of that, and they just worked it out that things just wouldn't clash. But I'd done that probably for about 5-6 years at that stage, where it was back to back. So it was netball in summer and then straight into touch. Straight into touch in the summer, and then netball back again in the winter. So there wasn't really a break. And in 1991, that's where I also got married that year, and we were looking for a free weekend, and I had probably 2 in the whole year where we could actually get married. So, it was pretty crazy, but it was amazing being a part of 2 teams that were in World Champs finals, and one just happened to be more successful than the other one.
I found a little clip.
Not with touch.
Yeah.
You're
It
joking.
was based in, it was in Auckland, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I don't know if it was specifically your team. It might have been the Opens. But what was with the
Outfits.
Australian women's outfits?
Oh, I loved it. It was hard to touch them, man. They were, because they were. Then that's what.
Wearing leotards.
That's what you should play in, I reckon. It was awesome. Yeah, far out. It was cool, I thought.
The Australian women's team, they kind of remind me of gladiators.
Yeah. Honestly, they were. I thought that was so good with Aussie. Aussie are really good like that in terms of, their active wear. Because even they were the ones that started off with the dresses. They bought the netball dresses in, and everyone else was in, garter belts and.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get that. 1991 touch. Yeah, so it is. It's the Open women's team.
Yeah.
Look, 6-0 to Australia. Yeah, that wasn't any of our teams.
Yeah. So you retired from the Silver Ferns in 1993. Then you got into umpiring, became an international umpire by 97. Back before the mandate came in that it had to always be neutral umpires, so you would have umpired games between the Silver Ferns and Diamonds. What was that like?
Just awesome. Oh my gosh, it was just the best. Your 2 top teams, and I got the best seat in the house as an umpire. It was, so exciting. I loved it. And, not only did I know what the players were going through, but also the coaches and everybody else. And it was new for me, the feeling of an umpire and having to, stop watching the entertainment, because that's what I used to do as a player as well, as, just watch what was going on around me and being really happy with where I was at. But with the umpiring, it's more responsibility, and I just loved it. It was the closest thing I could get to playing.
Every year it feels like we're saying it's getting more physical. It's getting more physical. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there is, and I think that the sports scientists, that are involved with our game, have really helped in that respect in terms of the fitness of the girls. I pretty much, I don't know anyone that could get what Kimi Orapoi gets on a, yo-yo. I don't know if there was anyone that was able to get that in the same time for Vera that I was in. I think that's it's gone hand in hand with that, and you've also got, great physios like Sharon Kearney, who has been there when I was playing as well, and has been able to see that through, and I'm sure that she would have, the sports smart stuff that Netball New Zealand provides through ACC, all of that I'm sure helps. And, just going inside, because that's what 91 was for us, it was the first time netball went indoors for the World Championships. And I think going inside has just made them more risk-free. So they just throw themselves at balls, the players, not with much, with abandonment. They just go for it. Whereas, with asphalt, you kind of picked your moments of when you were going to, or how hard you were going to go for a ball. So, man, I love those smashes. And that's what I really enjoyed at the start when I was umpiring. I just think that it's gotten to a stage where the umpires have to be more equipped with, part of the rulings to be able to kind of help steer that in the right direction, where it's not just, blood and guts on the floor. So, that's something that umpires, have to sort out. And I think they're getting to that stage, but there's still a long way to go.
You also went into coaching. You coached the Auckland Diamonds in 2003. Once you moved to Taranaki, you kept going with the coaching, age group reps at school here, president of Netball Taranaki for 5 years as well. Your love for the game obviously runs deep.
Yep. And also, not being able to say no a lot at the time too, because once I'd left Auckland and we'd moved down here, I was going to be low profile, and that soon went out of the window when I first met my first principal down here. So also with Netball Taranaki, they had approached me and asked me to, if I could do or help out with different programs that were on the calendar. So, next thing, hello, President, what the? Okay, so that was interesting,
You've had a long career as a teacher. You've obviously been here at Sacred Heart Girls for a number of years. You're a Dean, PE teacher. I imagine you've seen a lot of change over the years. Like when I went to school, the choices were in winter, it was either netball or hockey. In summer, tennis, cricket, maybe volleyball. Are there a lot more choices now for girls?
Definitely, yeah. But the love of netball is still, probably the highest of girls that come, that go to high school. It's still probably our most popular sport. But there's lots there that are available, and, just with the support of parents, girls can do anything, so if you're interested in something, that's what people are doing. I mean, now I'm not doing much netball in summer or touch, but, I'm a rowing mum, so that's changed again.
The stats have been showing us for a while now that girls, or especially teenage girls, drop out of sport at a higher rate than boys do. Something like 1 in 3 Kiwi women stop playing sports by the age of 17. There's a marked drop-off in young women doing sport and rec between the ages of 15 and 17. These are just some of the headlines. Why do you think that is?
Times have changed, and people's choices changed over the years, and most of my friends were actually into things outside of sport. So, that's what it is, and for girls that's probably more attractive is that side of things, especially nowadays girls work really hard out of school and set themselves up because they can see now that you could be an influencer if you wanted to be, and that still academic is more at the top of the list important, but people can see that experience comes with that. So, for me, I love it here, and I love teaching at all girls' schools because girls love PE. There's not many that sit out of your classes, and when I was at co-ed schools, that was totally different. So they are getting that, but they are choosing elsewhere because of, what society presents for them. And, they... Unless they get the bug when they're younger, then, sport is just, a hobby.
Your daughter, Sophia, she's in that age bracket, but no risk of her dropping out of sport, I don't think. Didn't she win a New Zealand secondary school rowing title earlier this year?
Yeah, she did. She surprised all of us, actually, and she won the Māori Cup, which is for under 17 single sculls. That was, and she was coached by Philippa Baker and Jodie Haskell at our local, Clifton Rowing Club. Yeah, man, she's just taken to it and just loves it. But still, her first love is netball.
Pretty handy netballer, I hear.
Yeah, she's all good. She's not too bad.
You've done so much for sport, for netball, player, umpire, coach, president, teacher. Are you going to slow down anytime soon?
Totally. I've, let Netball Taranaki know that this is my last year on being on, committees, judiciary or whatever. And, from coaching as well. And also school coaching, so I'm not going to be doing any netball at all after this year. So, and besides watching, yeah, I still love that, and I still love going to live games. Oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. And being able to sit in the stands is just wonderful to be able to, yeah, not have any responsibility. Still care, but no responsibility.
Well, you deserve it. Thanks for letting us get to know you more. You are truly a champion of the Pacific, Joan Hodson.
Thank you so much.